Oh, hey, explainers and entertainers. Glad you're here. Was just doing a little research now that, this one has arrived. He's able to leave the treehouse, but can't, or maybe won't, follow me out of the woods. He's a lot quirkier now that he's a ghost. Oh, but we can talk about that later. Given a lot of sports are going on this time of year and none of us nerds can escape their influence on society no matter how hard we try, it all made me think of my own very complicated history with athletics. Let me explain. I showed a general disinterest in sports really early in life. While I did occasionally enjoy some backyard baseball with the neighborhood kids, I was much more motivated by creative things, like putting on plays in our living room, singing, dancing, and building things. But my parents wanted Rachel and I to be on sports teams. For some reason. I guess to teach us something. One of the first kids' sports that a lot of us American kids are signed up for by our parents is t-ball. What is t-ball? T-ball is basically baseball with the position of the pitcher removed. Apparently we can't let 4-year-olds with no hand-eye coordination throw balls at other 4-year-olds holding bats who also have no hand-eye coordination. Instead, you put a ball on a tee in front of the batter so it's super easy to hit. Even though 9 times out of 10 they end up hitting the tee and the ball bounces away awkwardly. The kid eventually hits the ball and you scream at them to run to first base while all the other kids are being screamed at by their adults to pick up the dang ball! Fun! In fact, it was so fun that when I was on my t-ball team, I would sit down and draw pictures in the dirt with my finger.
Working on my portfolio.
T-ball is a very American first-time sport for kids, but I was curious about what other countries typically force their kids into. I asked all my non-American viewers in a community post, and after reviewing all of the data, it seems like no matter what region of the world you're from, football/soccer overwhelmingly reigns supreme. Look, even I did it when I was a kid. Though really, I shouldn't be too surprised, given the whole world loses its mind over the dang sport every couple years. Swimming was also a very common one you guys talked about, which, hey, I just think that that's a vital human skill to have. 71% of our world is covered in water, you should probably know how to swim. Even I was on a community swim team when I was a kid. Mom says I quit because I said it got too hard, but I think I just got bored. Just swimming back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
When are we playing Marco Polo?
In fact, I'm sure that's why I quit a lot of sports when I was a little kid.
I'm so bored. Can't we play something else? It feels like we're always playing this game. Like every Saturday.
There are certain sports that I have always been bad at, like on a cosmic level. Like no matter how hard I tried or how much I practiced, I was destined to suck. Basketball was that for me in middle school. The way my very small private school worked was if you were a girl, your choice was cheerleader or sports team. You had to do one or the other. And because this adorable little socially awkward nerd was never gonna be cheerleading material, I was forced to be a bench warmer for the basketball team. And I hated every moment of it. But the one time I got even a glimpse of happiness while playing, it was stolen away from me. The girls' team was practicing during PE one day while the boys sat on the bleachers watching us. During this scrimmage, I was passed the ball and miraculously made a basket. And the thing you have to remember is I never made baskets. I was so bad, I assumed every attempt at competence on my part was going to be foiled by the universe. So when I scored that 2-pointer, I got excited enough to give myself a little cheer. But after the game, I was approached by the boys in my class who had been watching. And I promise you I'm not joking here. These boys had arranged themselves and were posing like a gang of bullies in an anime, with the leader of the gang, the meanest boy in class, dead center with all the other boys surrounding him. The leader boy said very coldly, "Hey Rebecca, you acted like you've never scored a basket before in your life." And the boys around him all laughed. Well, I was so shy and sensitive and non-confrontational that I just blushed and ran away, tears welling up in my eyes. Ugh, kid. Sure hope you enjoy your future of loveless marriages that both end in divorce without custody. There's a paradox that can sometimes happen in a person where you are very good at something, but hate doing it with every fiber of your being. Enter softball. My parents signed me up for a league outside of school, I think about the time I started middle school, and my big mistake was showing I had natural ability. I somehow picked up softball skills very quickly and was actually a pretty good player. The problem was I was only a good player during practice. Because here's something fun I discovered only just this year in my late 30s. I've had an undiagnosed anxiety disorder for my entire life. So when it came time for game day in this softball league, I would get so nervous that all of my skills flew out the window, especially when I was up to bat. Boo! Did that work? Did I scare you? Live action, Becca, what are you doing here? No, seriously, what are you doing here? You're kind of creeping everybody out. Just felt like this next bit was getting a little too wordy for animation, but I think it's important and nuanced and I wanted to be thorough. But don't worry, I have visual aids! So one of the big reasons I dreaded game day in this softball league was my dad. Now, I love my dad, I miss him, he had many great qualities, he showed me so much love and support while I was following my dreams, but he was human, and complex, and flawed, as we all are. And in this particular instance, he didn't handle things the way he should have. So for my softball activities, Dad became the main parent bussing me around for practices and games, while Mom was more responsible for Rachel's activities at the time. But he became one of those sports dads that took things way too seriously, because every time I messed up during a game, he would angrily yell at me and scold me on the ride home, lecturing me about what I should have done better. And since I messed up pretty much every game because of my anxiety disorder, this happened almost every single time. And one game was particularly bad. I think I was at the end of my rope, I was burned out and depressed and tired and wanted to be anywhere other than playing center field in this ball game. Suddenly, a ground ball was hit directly to me and I just didn't get my glove down in time. It passed right through my legs, costing us a couple runs and ultimately the game. And my team was actually really good because this was our first loss all season. All because of me. I was overcome with dread imagining what Dad was going to say, but one of the worst parts about it was he was so mad that he didn't say a word to me the first half of the drive home. I think a lot of you know that situation, that piercing, deeply uncomfortable silence. It made me so anxious that I just couldn't take it anymore. Halfway through the drive, I meekly asked, "Dad, are you mad at me?" And I sometimes wish I didn't ask because that's when the floodgates opened. He began to scream and yell and rant and rave about my mistake, about letting my team down, my work ethic, etc., etc. He told me that even my coach approached him after the game and asked him, "Does she even want to play?" He then began to scream at me that I shouldn't be playing softball for him, I should be doing it for me, and while that is completely true, the message was poorly delivered. I didn't have any life experience or wisdom at the age of 12 to understand what that meant in that moment. And I certainly didn't have the confidence or the emotional intelligence to help my dad understand my anxiety on game days. In that moment, I was just upset that I was getting yelled at and that I had let my father down. So I didn't end up quitting that season, I just tried harder. I still had the same anxiety during games as I always did, if not more now, but I didn't make any more game-costing mistakes. Now, I don't tell you this story because I want you to feel bad for me or to be mad at my dad. That's the last thing I want. No, I tell this story because I want every kid out there to know that your happiness matters. And just as my dad was ineffectively trying to tell me on that car ride home, you shouldn't do something just because you think it's what your parents want, or what your friends want, or classmates, or school, or church, etc., etc. Now, sometimes you have to work with your parents, find a sport to stay active, join a club to learn some skills. But you are allowed to keep searching until you find the right one for you. Just because Dad played football doesn't mean you have to. Just because Mom didn't fulfill her dreams of becoming an actor doesn't mean you have to. Repeat after me. I am not an extension of my parents. I am me. Take this as permission from Mama Becca to advocate for yourselves, darlings. And you know, softball wasn't all bad. I retained some pretty useful skills, like throwing accuracy. Once when I was in high school, a few years after quitting softball, David was outside running around and playing with his best friend, who also happens to practically be my little brother, Brooks. This guy, from this story. Like annoying little siblings, the two of them came up and started talking some crap. And then like little cowards, they ran away. I picked up a spongy water ball that was floating in our pool, took aim, and threw it into the distance. And bam! Got Brooks square in the head. Ha! Still got it. So, did I ever find a physical activity that I actually liked and was very good at? You bet! And you probably already have an idea of what it is. Slap a fin and some seashells on me and steal my voice because your girl is secretly a mermaid. Swimming and scuba diving became my main sport and Mom was my big support in it. Kinda helps that she liked it just as much as I did. Because of being on the swim team in early childhood and then taking on scuba diving, I have always been exceedingly comfortable in the water, even to this day. It's probably the one physical skill I take any morsel of pride in. Even though I never competed on on a swim team in middle school or high school, I still had some skills. One time, my parents signed me up for marine biology camp. And because the campers were going to spend a lot of time in the water all week, the camp counselors made us take a swim test. We basically just had to swim the length of a large swimming pool back and forth one time, and the counselors insisted it wasn't a race. We could take our time completing it. But one girl in the group kinda forced my hand. She was bragging a lot about being on her swim team back at school, and all of the other girls were fawning all over her and hyping her up because of it. And me, being a competitive chubby girl looking to prove herself at all times, said, "Oh, it's on. Ready, set, go," and I was off like a torpedo. When I say all the self-esteem I had left in my heart was on the line, I mean it. I was gonna prove to everybody at this camp that I was the true queen of the sea. I shall be the one millennial middle school girl with a marine biology phase who actually becomes a marine biologist. Steve Irwin will be so proud! Girls were dropping left and right, having to stop in the middle of the pool to catch their breath. I couldn't even see swim team girl, but I didn't care. This single race that's not actually a race will forever change the course of my entire life! Woo! Look at you go, Rebecca! Woo! Okay, I think that time I took it too seriously. And I don't want to disparage poor swim team girl too hard. She's allowed to take pride in the skills she worked hard for, just as I took pride in myself that day. You just can't be braggy about it, okay? That goes for you too. I think the whole moral of this video should be boiled down to this. Pursue the sports and activities and hobbies that get you excited. Something where you wake up every day and you can't wait to push yourself and get better. Not because you think it's what someone else expects of you. Now, what I expect of you is to make it safely out of my woods and enjoy the cold weather. And keep an eye on your ghost pets. Thank you so